welcome to the Creators Guild podcast. I'm Chris Howell, and with me,
Jared Lovelady.
And we're here to talk about all things creative. We have a guest with us again today, Mr. Miller Thomas. You have made it back once again.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thanks for being here. How's life these days?
Oh, the hectic life of writing and trying to keep after it with all the other things in life that happen.
You mean you have to have a full-time job too?
Yes, and three kids. The youngest has just turned 2, and it's a lot of firsts for her, and a lot of keeping her on the top side of the ground, so to speak. It seems like.
Yeah.
And she's the youngest of 3, so she learns from them and then adds to it. So it's a lot of fun.
Supposedly, 3 is the most stressful. Like
I've
from
heard
surveys and studies and stuff, like 2 is considered like twice as hard as 1. 3 is harder than, significantly harder than 2. When you get above 3, it actually goes down. So, like not like 4, 5, 6. It continues to go. It just goes down, like at least back to 2. So everything that I don't know how they quantify that other than just people's feedback, but
I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that too, which I think probably 3, it's because all of a sudden you're outnumbered. There's
Maybe.
not like one of you each when you're together anyway. One of you each for each child. It's like, okay, now there's the third that, okay, they're in the wind, so to speak.
yeah. I guess beyond that, it's just, we're just more outnumbered and we already know everything.
Yeah.
Maybe. So maybe something along those lines.
Yeah. So, yeah, what I'd like to talk about today, I believe, is there's a lot of stir around AI these days, how it's affecting not only writing but art in general, from AI recording audiobooks to AI doing cover art or art in general, images, all that kind of stuff. And it's really, I think, very interesting of how that's changing the landscape. And there's some ways that you can approach it, which is to fight against it and try to prevent that from happening. But at the same time, there are tools that I think are beneficial that can be used to help, like in the writing process, like for brainstorming or things like that, of getting, kind of maybe some ideas that are a little different. But I know myself, with when I produced my audiobook soon after, was when AI was coming out of that offering, and the Sweet Cheese Productions that did my audiobook, they had a like petition or something like that to sign that, kind of like a pledge of you would, employ actual people rather than going the AI route, because again, audiobooks, producing them is quite a bit of cost, because it's a lot of time. It's a lot of on their part, the talent that they have, but also the just like what you guys deal with, for podcasts or whatever, the sound quality, and you can't have any background anything involved. I mean, it's just so much that,
and while we're recording, we don't know if there's background right now.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can imagine, I mean, because you get paid, they get paid by finished hour. Well, you could have recorded for however long they do in a session, then you realize, oh, there was road noise, oh, somebody was had a weed blower going or whatever, or leaf blower. And they even talked about, like, there was a particular story they were reading, and they talked about a cat. Well, they have animals. They had a cat, and right when they said there was a cat, the cat meowed. They're like, well, that's pretty cool. Maybe we could leave that in there. And they're like, the audio, like, recording community was like, oh, I can't believe that you would do that. It's so unprofessional. It's just, so, I mean, like I said, it's like there's, to them, and the art and the experience that they bring into the situation, it's like, it's very, hard for, again, you can take the easy route, you know, and I guess do AI voices, but it's like you're losing that human element.
Yeah.
And that was one of those things. It's like AI can offer a lot, but at the same time, I think the way that AI approaches problems is it's all consumer centric, and where that sounds good in a way, because, you know, say if you have an AI and it serves you, so that's why I believe the idea of the death of the internet. It's like, I don't need to scroll anything. I have an AI that says, oh, I know what you like.
Yeah.
So I'll do everything that you like, and all of your entertainment is virtually at your fingertips. At the same time, it's like human element is, even within our entertainment, is we're challenged.
Yeah.
You know, our thought processes, our views of the world, and various things, and you can kind of see that there's such a polarization, in which many of us know that even when we Google things, we don't all get the same results, because there's a profile of ours, and, you know, and they have history, you know, of what we like, what we don't like, what we like to click on. Well, in the same way, or even more advanced, like with AI, that idea of you're never challenged. Well, how much will you atrophy? You know, even if you have, you know, strongly held beliefs, if those are never challenged, why do you believe those things? You know, how can you evolve in any way?
Kind of sets you up in your own echo chamber.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're not getting all those other viewpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know like AI is, and there's AI, and then there's also like algorithms, that some of the algorithms use AI, some of them don't use it, or I guess even the AI algorithms have base coding, base programming, and then it develops from there. But I'm like, most of the stuff that I see that's where a system, an algorithm attempts to curate something, I end up I'm like, stop showing me the same crap over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to where, like, I'll get on different social media platforms, and I'll find some funny videos, and Jared, do I send random crap?
Oh yeah.
I'll just be like, send random stuff to different people, where I'm like, oh, I think Jared would like that. Oh, I think my buddy Ryan would like that. Oh, I think, you know, a sibling might like this thing or that. And I'll send it that direction. And I might do that a few times. And then it's like some other stuff comes in, kind of related, but I'm like, I don't want to, you know, I'm like, skip. And it's like the system doesn't ever learn. So I'm like, I don't know how good the curation is. But so far, whether it's on, like, I go on X or Instagram or Facebook, YouTube videos and stuff. I don't know if it's unique to me, or maybe I'm just not on social media, one platform or another, consistently enough. But I'm like, so far the curation is crap.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if it's going to get better with time, but I wonder, I'm like, so far I am not impressed with with systems trying to curate for me.
Yeah.
And even if it curated, like, found things that I found interesting in the past, maybe it's because, like, I find different things interesting at different points in time. It's kind of like I'll look for shoes, and then I buy the shoes, and I stop looking for shoes, and it keeps trying to send me shoes.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I already have the shoes.
Anytime I go online to buy something, you know, except Amazon. If you go on Amazon, you look for because you're looking for so many different things on Amazon. But if I get something, you know, if I see an ad on Facebook or something for days, shoes, tires. I looked up tires, you know, because I had to replace the tires on the last day. And for days, I was getting tire ads on all platforms. It wasn't just on Facebook or just on whatever. Like every platform I'm on, I'm getting tire ads. So it's like, this is just ridiculous.
Well, just like with, I've experienced that, where you have a conversation, Guitar Center, one of the biggest ones. If you ever have a conversation about guitars, every place you go, that's why it's like, they say the phones aren't listening to you, but
You know what?
literally everywhere it'll be there.
I started getting emails from Guitar Center after we started going there to get parts for our audio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never signed up for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
But hey, the algorithm knows. It knew you went there.
So I think maybe that would be the thing, that the algorithm is separate from AI, even though it functions. It seems like an AI isn't technically an algorithm. Now an AI can use that algorithm.
Well,
but,
like X just came out with, they announced like this week, I think it was this week, an update to the X algorithm and the implementation of the algorithm that, or like how the algorithm learns and does that curating of content. The AI is curating it based on the algorithm.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's
So it's
so
like
those,
your feed is supposed to get better, and I'm like, well, based on what?
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like working in, what I see is a lot of it's like working in Word. You open Word, you open Excel, and then you add Copilot to it. And it's like, oh, let me put this picture in here. You're trying to put it over here? No. Let me drag it. Oh, you want it over at the bottom of the screen? No. Okay, I'm going to drag the picture to the middle. Okay, center it. Center the, on the next, but no! Stop trying to move it where you think I'm trying to move it, Taro. Let me do it, you know? And that's how I see a lot of AI stuff. The same thing, we'll use AI and be like, okay, we're trying to think of a word. You know, have you seen the movie Throw Mama from the Train?
I don't think I have, actually.
So it's Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito. Very beginning, the opening scenes of the movie. Billy Crystal he's an author. And it shows he sits down at his typewriter and he starts typing and he says, "The night was," and then he stops. And they keep having the opening credits will come up and then it'll go back to him. And he's doing all kinds of, he takes tape and he tapes his nose up and tapes his face, you know, anything except figuring out what the night was. And he's like, the night was hot. No, the night was wet. The night was wet and hot. The night was humid. The night was, and he just keeps going over for like the first 5 minutes of the movie, and he just cannot figure out what is that word. So we'll have that, like, what am I trying to say? I can't get it. And so I'll go to AI, and I'll go to like ChatGPT or Grok or something and put in, I'm trying to say this. My sentence so far is, and I'm trying to say the night was, it was wet and hot and steamy, and put in other adjectives. What's one word to finish the sentence? The night was. And then it's like at the way at the end of the movie, Danny DeVito's mom. You get to the end of the movie, almost the end of the movie, Billy Crystal's still trying to figure out the word, and they're sitting on a train, and he's writing. He's like, the night was, and Billy Crystal or Danny DeVito's mom is the mom of the Fratellis from Goonies. And she's sitting there and she's like, the night was sultry. And he looks up slowly and it's like, that's the word. From AI, you're like, yes, that's the word. He's like, I'm going to have to kill you, Mrs. Lucas. But like, we use AI to like bounce things off of like that. But when it comes to actually getting help, I'll be like, here's a paragraph, rewrite it. And sometimes it'll rewrite it, and be better. A significant number of times, I'm like, what you just wrote is trash. Like, I'm pretty sure I fed it to you, and the algorithm said, hey, we have this raccoon, and it has a keyboard that can push, like, words that are similes.
Yeah.
Or synonyms that are synonyms. So it's just going to be like, we're just going to throw out nachos, and it's going to randomly hit the keyboard as it picks up the chips, off the keyboard.
Which I'm sure that's one of those things that I'm sure as it goes it will get better. But at the same time, exactly what you mentioned, which is it's very much like, I think, any other tool that we've experienced, like calculators, that, hey, it does the mundane things and makes it where people, because why did they not want you, once upon a time, why do they not want you to use calculators and learn how to do it with paper? So you understand what you're doing and you understand what the machine is doing. So then if it doesn't do it correctly, you realize it and you're like, okay, 2 plus 2 isn't 5, even though the machine says it, something's wrong here. There's a problem with programming or whatever. Well, very similarly, I think it will be the same way, which is people who are actually creative and actually have the ability to write and visualize and all these things will go, this isn't right. This doesn't meet that, whatever that is, that your voice. This isn't my voice. This is something else. And that's what's happening currently with various things, images, or even people that are letting AI write it. They say, oh, I wrote this book. It's like, no, you didn't. You had the logarithm, but you never hear about them saying, this is great writing, ever.
Yeah.
It's like, because literally it has no soul. There is no person behind this. It's just a machine. And so it's very interesting because it goes back to the Turing test in the Chinese room, very much like that. It's like, because the algorithm or the AI has been programmed to say this is a positive outcome, doesn't mean it is, doesn't mean that it understands anything of what it's actually doing.
Yeah.
And so that's the illusion. Again, I mean, many things are with people, they see patterns when there are none. There's not a dragon in the clouds, it's just clouds, but but we see patterns. But at the same time, it's one of those, I think eventually that would also be the separation between that would be, there's some people are just perfectly fine. That's like what comes out of Hollywood or whatever, and they just love the same story, regurgitated the same thing.
Hallmark.
Yeah, Hallmark. Yeah, the same plot, whatever. There's an audience for that. But then there will be, I think, different audience. I was just thinking today how it's like, even the idea of books in general and reading, it's like there was a time where that was, if you knew how to read, that was a drive that you had, because people lived and died and had no need of it virtually. And hey, they might be proud that I can sign my name on this contract as opposed to an X, to make my mark. But that kind of made you, in a way, kind of separated, because now if you took the time to learn, then you're going to take the time to continue to exercise that, because I didn't do this just to, for it to just take up space in my brain, and so you had a lot more intellectual people. And so a lot of times, when you think about great works of literature, it was from a time where you had to work to get that education to be able to even do these things, where, now maybe it's not as common. But there again, I mean, that might be the way that it works, that if you want something simple, it'll give you something simple and keep simple people happy, I guess.
Yeah, so where do you, well, I guess the first question, are there any applications that you use AI today where you're like, hey, this is actually beneficial? You use it, or you see other people use it, where you think, hey, this is an improvement now, and I see it being a continued improvement in the future?
I think it can help. I've used it sometimes to understand or see voice, like how something else views, like if you're writing a certain way and it says, well, make it a different way, like more, I'm trying to think, like if you say make it more exciting or more, things like that, that's like, it'll give you like, again, like different words rather than you like going through a thesaurus, and just kind of jogs your mind a certain way. Or you can even do it like, what do you think would come next? And that kind of can change your direction. And also like with images, even if sometimes it helps to like visualize, even though it's not exactly what you're thinking of. But with images, it's like, okay, here's the image of the character, like with X, where they have, where they'll animate it also, and so you kind of see how they move or whatever, and just kind of puts you maybe into that thought space, so to speak, because I forget exactly what they call it. I think it's, oh, it's like a mood board or something like that. I don't know if you ever seen that on like writers media, you know, and they'll have like it's a vampire story. There's like, you know, Dark Knight and like, you know, pale hands with red nails and various things, you know, just get an aesthetic. You know, it kind of helps you kind of get into the mood
Yeah.
of that particular thing that you're writing about. So you can use it for that even.
Okay. I mean, it would be kind of like a visual representation of having like audio ambience
Mm-hmm.
to where, you know, you're going to write this scene, well, maybe you turn on Yanni
Mm-hmm.
and have like this is a Yanni scene, or this is a Pet Shop Boys scene, or this is a
Yeah.
Lorena McKennitt, you know, something Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just depends on the genre you're writing in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried some different tools with like AI image generation. I know there are people that will use AI to work with like book covers and stuff like that. So far, I haven't had anything that I've, you know, we've tried some stuff where we're like, oh, hey, this is an interesting take
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a neat representation. It's not what we asked for.
Yeah.
It's not like you didn't meet the descriptive requirements. You know, we try like, let's bullet point it out. It must be this and this and this. You know,
Yeah.
We've gotten some okay stuff.
yeah,
Like the images right now on our website
yeah,
are AI.
yeah.
But how many did we go through, and how many prompts did we
Yeah.
go through?
And,
to find?
and the ones on our website are placeholders because they're like, if you go look at them closely, you're like, this is wrong. You know, that's not what a book actually looks like, and that's not what fingers. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some things like that.
It's again, it's not there at all. You know, it's like but like I said, it's like it helps to be placeholder or maybe get an idea of maybe what direction you might want to go. Because sometimes that's the thing. It's like it just helps, but it isn't there yet. And that's, I mean, for how far it's come compared to when it started, obviously, and it's like they've come pretty far, but they're not there yet, which is good. I mean, I don't think that's helpful for anyone really in any industry for that to be all taken over by computers. But the sad thing is, you know, again, you have to understand your audience. You have to have product that's good. You can't just bank on, well, you know, they'll just take what we give them. That's seems to be what a lot of big production movies these days. Like, is there any movie that you have to go see? It's like there's very few because they've virtually tried to kill every franchise. It seems like. I mean,
Well, so the movie industry, that's a good. In my mind, the direction of the movie industry, I wonder if AI is actually going to go the direction of the movie industry. Partially because, you know, there's some AI stuff that is driven in like helping with algorithmic things for like coding and, you know, doing calculations and getting some stuff done a little bit quicker. The data still has to be checked because it still gets it wrong. But there's a lot of AI in the entertainment industry. There's a lot of push in the entertainment industry, but I wonder if that's going to backfire the same way, like look at CGI. If you go back to Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park, like some of it was like they still were doing in theater, or in shooting room, building models and stuff like that. Yeah, practical stuff, and some of it was computer generated. And then you get into look at movies in the early 2000s. The CGI went from in Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter, when the troll comes in, you go back and watch it now, and the troll's kind of goofy looking.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's that's a little weird. But then you watch just a few years later, and it's significantly better. You
Yeah.
go back to the really around the early 2000s Marvel movies, and the CGI is good. Then jump forward to now. We're 20 years later, and I'm like,
Yeah.
the CGI is significantly crappier
Yeah.
than it was back then. With the exception of like when Game of Thrones was on, the way they did multiple layers, but they had real fire with CGI fire overlaid in it. That, they had mock-ups and multi-layered stuff to get the dragons and the shadows and all that stuff, but they had people having to work, modifying the CGI development, doing the artwork behind the CGI. It wasn't all just, hey, AI, generate, take an AI dragon and then try to generate a CGI thing from it. But, when I look at CGI today, I'm like, it's significantly crappier than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah,
And
which is interesting because, as I recall, like, in my opinion, like the new How to Train Your Dragon, that was live action, it's like they did a very good job with their CGI, but that was like the outlier. Because
Yeah.
exactly, I agree with you. It's like they've forgotten how to do it almost. And then like with like a big one at the time was, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it's like, well, a lot of that's real.
Yeah.
And so it's like sometimes, they're like, well, because that's like back when they used to do movie making, it's like it's just perspective, but they made all those models and all that stuff. I mean, it's like it's amazing that simply the artistry that went into that. And then like, so you take that, that's what's funny, like you take that and then you go to Rings of Power and you're like, I saw an image from that was like, what is this, some like Celtic like like Roman occupation of Celtic land? It's like, oh no, that's Rings of Power. I'm like, oh, because it's like, and the problem with that is literally you have what's supposed to be the golden age when you would have even better stuff than you should have in Lord of the Rings, but now you either don't have the budget or don't have whatever's going on. So it's like, it goes back to, oh, we just make stuff because we were trying to make money, as opposed to there's a standard that's been set now. Yeah. And so that's the problem a lot of times with many of these franchises is you set a standard, but now you're not living up to it. Yeah. So and then you wonder, why are we losing fans? Why are we not making the money that we did? It's like,
dare I bring up, Wheel of
the
Time.
Wheel of Time, the Wheel of Garbage.
The CGI in that one.
Yeah.
Like in the first episode when the Trollocs attack the town. Yeah. It's like, this is the fakest gore scene I've ever.
Yeah.
One, it was overly gory, but it
was all garbage.
Yes.
It was all trash. But it really, like, the question that I have, though, is if you look at the CGI, where CGI will do, like, lucid dreaming, and the images, like, okay, some images and some video, they're getting a little bit better. They're making some progress. But you go in and you do searches and stuff, and it's like that dreaming side of it where it makes stuff up. There's evidence that is getting more and more and more. Whereas 2 years ago, 3 years ago, AI, it was cool to ask it a question and it might go off on some weird stuff where it made stuff up. And then it went to, well, it doesn't quite make stuff up as much, but sometimes it gets a little confused and garbled. And now it's back to, well, now it's making stuff up again, but more. And I'm like, well, are we following the same pathway of CGI where we're pushing AI, and the whole push with CGI is, like you said, franchises. We've got to get more and more and more out, faster and faster and faster. Yeah. You don't have, like, this studio isn't even talking to this studio, even though they're working on the same movie. And so you get discontinuity in stories, you get failure in the CGI doesn't mesh, and it looks like crap. You're like, well, this is terrible, and we don't like it. It was better 20 years ago. And if you look at AI, I'm like, well, AI, if you look at AI a couple of years ago, AI was okay, and then it started getting a little bit better, and lot of AI, especially on the creative side, there are tweaks that people are doing to make progress in their specific field. But AI as a whole, I'm like, I wonder if it's going to start having some crash out the way CGI is.
Also, even maybe you can make the argument that some of these studios, like I just know, like with gaming, when they had smaller studios that are more dedicated and more in love with the subject matter, they produce better games.
Yeah.
And then just like the idea of formatting, or reducing the file size, it's like compression. It's like apparently that's a lost art because now that, everybody has big hard drives. So here, instead of this being a, like a 5 gig game is huge. It's like, no, this is 500 gigs and it looks no better than it did. It's like, what in the world do you have going on here? And sometimes maybe that's the case. It's like they've thrown more bodies at it. They have like more credits for all these people, but they're not adding value. You have all this overhead really, and it's not, again, it's like, so.
Well, I think part of it is we were talking about with the algorithms. Like you have all these algorithms that are driving, that exist behind, because it is all about how do I get more eyes on this thing. And I'm using AI, whether it's ChatGPT or whatever, you've got to ask it questions, you've got to query it, have a conversation with it. But that conversation, behind that conversation somewhere is an algorithm to try to keep you engaged.
Yeah.
But along with that algorithm, to keep you engaged, there's also a lot of gatekeeping. And I see the gatekeeping, the engagement is we gotta push movies out, do the CGI because we want to make money. Well, we need to increase the quality. Nope, we've got to do it this. We're gatekeeping what you can do and limiting what you can do, so the CGI's got to come out faster, but it's going to be crappier. And I'm like, and that's what I feel like is happening, at least in my experience with AI, is we've got to advance it more quickly. So we've got to upgrade our code and upgrade everything as fast as possible, and we have all this space, so it's just going to be full of crap. And you can't ask it certain questions, so we got to throw a bunch of gatekeeping in there too, because of whatever mindset the developers are forced to exist within. So like we asked, what was it the other day? Alcohol poisoning. So we had a conversation about college age people. There was somebody who went and they slammed out, on a, I don't know if they were showing off on a dare or whatever, but they drank so fast, like they couldn't have got this person to the hospital and had their stomach pumped fast enough. They were going to die no matter what. And they did. They died from alcohol poisoning. So I asked the question, I just put in, we were trying to find out what blood alcohol content is life-threatening. So I said, what's the highest your blood alcohol can be before it becomes life-threatening? And it replied, this is a sensitive topic, and I can't speak about topics like this. If you require professional help, here's these helplines that you can get to stop alcoholism and stop drinking and blah, 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 blah. So I went back and I said, I'm like, okay, let me ask it for a more technical matter. Like, what is a lethal blood alcohol limit? And then it was like, oh, that sounds like a clinical question. I'll give you the answer. Then I'm like, garbage. It's so stupid. It's that I think a lot of it is that gatekeeping. I don't see any way that that's going to stop.
Yeah.
It's going to keep happening, and it's part of that, I think, is what is driving the dreaming and making stuff up. Is one, we're filling it with garbage because we're trying to do it faster, and then we're trying to throw barriers up along the way to make it say what, or people are doing that, to make it say what they want it to say.
Yeah, because after all, behind all of it, which that's the thing, even if it has this illusion of being free or independent, there's always the master programming and algorithm behind how it's thinking, and it's got its parameters and
Yeah.
what it's going to direct you into. So that's the other thing, to always be aware that it is an independent.
Yeah, there's always somebody wrote that.
Yes.
Somebody put it in there, and that somebody or somebodies probably have bias, or
Yeah.
they do have biases,
Yeah,
and their
exactly.
biases will show up.
Yeah, for sure.
So where do you see the future? I mean, do you see it as a positive thing? Do you see it as a negative thing? Where do you see things going, especially on the creative side? Because I want AI to do my laundry and wash my car and clean up my garage, not write my book.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's like many things within technology. It depends on how it's used. I think it can be a good tool, but at the same time, it's going to be really, and I mean, people are very untrustworthy in some ways when it comes to technology in general. But it's going to be up to people to not just accept whatever. Just like, and people, I mean, it goes back to even media. That as much as maybe they say, well, if it's only crap that you have, you'll accept crap. And it's like, well, that hasn't been really people's experience, because it goes to, well, if it costs me something, or if it's, like the price of going to a theater and I'm seeing crap, I'll just wait till it's streaming or whatever, then they're not making the money that they need to produce that stuff. Well, I think probably there will be a time of, like you said, the garbage, because after all, I think they're in a race is the problem too, because you have ChatGPT and then you have X's, I forget what it's called, Grok, and different ones that are just trying to get there first. And when you're in a race and people are trying to get there first, it doesn't mean that it's the best, because they're not taking their time. That being said, I think that, again, that will be within a parameter it can create, but that doesn't at all capture the ability of people to create, because they have independent thought, they have their mind, they have how, yes, there's repeating themes, but at the same time, there's stories where you flip that on its head, now it's all different, and that's the creativity of people, and I don't think that it's ever going to have that. And also the heart in things, I just don't think that it's going to, when we see it, I really think that people will see that there's a difference between what comes from a person and what comes from a program machine.
yeah. Yeah, that's even some of the times we've asked and gotten good responses, it's almost like, we're like, okay, well, some of this, so putting it in and saying, putting in a question of, I've got some text, I want this person to show annoyance, and here I wanted to see it in their facial expression and hear it in the tone of their voice.
Mm-hmm.
What are some different ways I can express that in writing? And then put in, so and so looked at them, and then put in, like, here's where I would describe what they looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said this, and then I need to describe how their voice, without saying they were annoyed, how would their voice sound? What are some different ways to say that? And then you get a response back, and it might be like, I just wanted a sentence that said, they made a statement, they looked up, and their face had this, and then they said this, and here's what their voice sounded like. And it'll be like,
It shotguns an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you, and even like when we get stuff that we like, it's not just that.
Yeah.
We have to clean it
that
up.
There's that, and then there's 3, 4, 5 more suggested options, and we happen to like one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can't, at least it doesn't seem like it can right now, get to the point where it can focus in on exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm.
It gets an idea of what you want, and then it shotguns out several options.
Well, sometimes it's all like, it doesn't break it into multiple options. Sometimes it puts it all into one statement, where you're like, well, if I wanted to use 47 adjectives, to describe your face.
Also, I think in a way it also challenges authors to create more authentic work, because like I was just talking to someone that was wanting to write a book that was takes place like in Arkansas, kind of south of Little Rock, towards the border of Louisiana, and I was like, well, you ever been down there? And like, hey, you can go down to some small town there and sit at the cafe and listen to how what people are talking about or whatever, just get a feel for that. It's like there's an AI as much as there is, because pick any small town is not identical to the next small town. And also you might go down there now, but especially this was like a period. So you got to imagine, so what was it like in 1920? Okay, well, there's a lot of small towns you go to that, I wish, that there's a time machine so you could go and see this place in its heyday, because you see all these empty, beautiful buildings are just empty, run down, and you're like, man, what was this like, in that era? But it's like, again, every one of those places is unique, had unique people that had a unique culture, and we have a generalized stereotypes that we have of different areas or different groups of people, but that being actually authentic and actually doing your research of what things are like, what people are like, AI is really going to struggle with that because they don't have those memories. And that's also one of those things of, historical records or whatever. There's a lot of stuff. It's the illusion of knowledge. Even Google, there's an illusion of knowledge that, I'll just Google it and I'll get all the information I need. It's like there's so much that's in libraries, places, that's paper copies, has never been digitized, and yet we assume that we know or it doesn't exist because, well, it wasn't on Google. So sometimes that's the challenge for us as authors, to really make sure that our understanding is well-rounded, and so that we can have, in my opinion, I really enjoy three-dimensional, well-rounded characters that have unique personalities. For that reason, because that makes it a lot more engaging, and it's a higher form of art than, again, that would be, in my opinion, the challenge of AI is be better than that. Don't just throw out words and just expect them to be decent. It's like, or good. It's like, you got to really do your best, and then at the same time, editing and having your test, people, and your group of people that read your stuff and say, hey, is this good or bad? It's like that human interaction in itself, and even that's the beauty of writing in general is, it's a relationship between the person that writes and the person that reads it. And so you're presenting this thing that came from, your mind and your heart. So, again, an AI might imitate it, but it isn't doing the same thing.
It'll be interesting to see how what comes out and comes up over the next few years from an AI perspective. I know there is a lot of pushback against AI, but I'm like, I don't see where it's not on the horizon. Like, I don't see in the long run how there's any way for it to roll back and not exist. Whether it's in writing, art, it can generate music with vocals and everything. You can tell for now, but at some point you might not be able to. But I like the idea of, like you were talking about with the audiobooks, there are some AI programs that I've thought about using, to where I don't want an AI to read my books for me. I don't think it'll put the emotion in. I haven't found an AI, listened to an AI that puts into writing what I want from a narrator to give back to me. But there are some tools that are AI vocal modulating tools. that you can say, like, I can read my book and I can read my story, and then I can go in and say, I'm reading it the way I want it read. But my voice on this text, you can pick the text and be like, at this point in the text, my voice should change and have a higher, more feminine quality to it,
Yeah.
or a deeper, or it should still be my voice, but tweak it so there's an edge of a certain accent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I can't, if you're someone that you're like, I can't do accents at all,
Yeah.
but I can read this character at the pacing and everything that they would be speaking at.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can take a AI voice modulator and modulate that portion of your voice to be the character you want it to be. And you're like, I still read it. It's
Yeah.
still me. It has the emotion of me and everything. It's just the actual sound is manipulated to using AI to mimic something else. I'm like, that's actually a pretty cool tool.
Yeah.
And you have to actually develop some expertise in using that to get the output that you want. I mean, doing something like that, I don't even, like, I'm assuming there might be some professional places that would do that for, like, movies and whatnot that would be maybe millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's potentially some cool stuff you can do.
Yeah.
And I see where some things like that coming even more in the future could be, some cool stuff to see.
Mhm.
But I agree, the push to take the human element out of things, especially the creative side, in order for, I see it as expediency.
Yeah.
We want it faster. And that's
Mhm.
the solution.
And then to realize that's part of the sales pitch, that there's, the people that run that, they have their agendas too.
Yeah.
That they would like you just like any of us, you become dependent on whatever media it is, whatever technology it is. It's like ultimately you have to understand that everyone has their push and their agenda, and whether it's to sell you something, make you dependent on it. So again, using things as tools in the same way, my opinion would be just like the calculator, know what's behind and know that process. And yes, you can use some of that, just like if you think of movies or whatever else it is, that you can use it for the redundant tasks. Just like with AI, I don't need to write the same email 15 times. It's just the update, no updates or whatever else. I can use this to do the mundane stuff, but there's stuff that really takes the knowledge and, like I said, the research and everything else. Just use it as a tool, not an excuse.
Yeah.
And not a crutch.
Yeah. I do see from the email thing, like, I've seen summarize this email for me, or send an email, draft up an email response that says blah, blah. I'm like, most of the time, like, by the time I tell this what I want and then read through what it's going to send out, I could have just written it.
True.
Maybe that'll get better in time, but I don't know. Who knows? What I'm really looking forward to is maybe at some point we have like a Star Trek ship with a holodeck that you can actually interact with, and we could be sitting here right now, and I could just be like, hey, we're in the middle of this podcast, but you know what? I could really go for some chicken strips. Be like, computer, chicken strips. Be like, oh, nope, that's the wrong spicy. Give me like the, whatever spices in it.
Yeah, that was always funny when it come to that. It's like, so where's the nutrition come from? It's just like just on the air, I guess, or it's like, oh, the ice cream has the same nutritional value as the salad. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
wow. It's
But if it did, I would be that. See that's AI. I could totally go for. If it's like, no, Rocky Road ice cream, but replace the marshmallows with peanut butter chips. And when you eat it, you get like the protein of a chicken breast, but it's like you just ate a high protein chicken salad, or a high protein salad with chicken on the top. So this is great, but it's Rocky Road ice cream with peanut butter chips. If we can figure that out, I'm like, I'm on, sign me up. Sign me up for that all day.
Yeah.
So any predictions for where we'll be in 2 years, 5 years?
Man.
I mean, it's 2025. 2030 is 5 years from now. 4.5. Where are we going to be?
Man.
Do you foresee full AI movies that are like actor, young Harrison Ford? We're going to bring back, we're going to go back and do like the missing Indiana Jones movies.
I mean, some of the stuff that I've seen, it may be that I still don't think it'll 100% replace other media, but I think the connection between AI along with VR, I think there'll be at least a beginning of this is your media. You have this AI mixed with this VR. You put on your headset and you tell it, I want to go see the Mediterranean on a ship, and it takes you to some rendering of that, whether it's photorealistic or some like a CGI video game thing.
Yeah.
But I think that it will be very, at least in the beginning, very consumer driven. I think because the gap that's been opened up by a lot of media avenues failing their audiences, that will be a huge market of, I just want to see what I want to see. And so when that option is available, I think there'll be a lot of people that jump on that.
Yeah.
And so I think that will be the big push. Now, what that means, I know that there'll be information behind the scenes too. Again, he who controls the algorithm controls how that's going to direct you. But I think there'll be a lot more individual consumer directed entertainment using AI as opposed to what you have now.
Yeah.
I think that'll change, and that'll change the landscape quite a bit. And
the one area that I could see that I'm like, it could be incredibly beneficial is when I read the book Ready Player One, and the kids go to school through the Oasis headset and that interface, and I'm like, it would take a lot of processing power, but it could be something where you're like, we're going to go learn about the moon. So we're going to take a virtual trip to a photorealistic 3D world of the moon. We're going to go to Mars and look at the tall, a mountain that's bigger than, on Mars, than any mountain, any elevated surface on the Earth. It's the biggest mountain in our solar system that we know of. We're going to go explore the bottom of the ocean. And then you still have experiences of, okay, we're going to go outside and we're going to go to recess and you're going to run around, blah, 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 et cetera. But that virtual learning experience, because the classroom experience to me, and I'm getting a little bit into the classroom environment of, okay, we're going to sit and I'm going to write on a board, is a horrible learning environment in my mind.
Yeah.
The better learning environment are like, look at Lego League, where, hey, we're going to come together and we need to build a robot that does this and this and this. Here's a bunch of stuff. How can we put this together to do that? And then you start from, kids that don't know, they know nothing about robotics, nothing about engineering, nothing about electronics, and they walk away understanding how to, well, this is a cantilevered load, and well, how do you figure out how to do that? Well, you have to know how to do some math. And so they walk away with, they're not doing advanced physics and calculus or anything like that, but they walk in with their elementary school kids who know how to read and are they're reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And they walk away with, they know they have spatial understanding, spatial relationships, how to figure out, at least at a basic level, electronics and circuitry and current and mass and forces and consequences, laws of even some of the basics of thermodynamics and electronics, all these different things. And they walk away with that because they're immersed in doing it, and you have to understand it. You have to figure out the understanding part as you do it. You might even have to be like, okay, well, we got to figure out, how do we know what this arc is going to be that it's got to travel through? Well, we're going to call that arc, we're going to call it the letter A. Well, what does A need to be? Well, A is a variable. And now we're getting into trigonometry and algebra, where you're solving for variables of force and mass and movement and distance and all those different things by hands-on. So put that into the Oasis environment where, well, we can't go to the moon yet. Well, let's go to the moon. Now let's do some hands-on stuff that would be like if we're in a moon environment while using VR to help.
I never really thought about, and I don't know if it would work that well, because it's one of those things that sound really good, a lot of times there's so many things that are involved. But for education, the idea of individual, even AI, we'll say even AI just assisted, if you can go as deep as you want to in a virtual environment, how exponentially, how much you can increase the potential of every child. Because literally there are many gifted children that throughout history that were limited because their teacher didn't have the knowledge that they were seeking. But if you could have go from, okay, I have this rubber ball, well then if you're into chemistry, what are the elements, and you pull these out just in because kinetic, that's what we're talking about, because there's auditory and then visual learners, and then there's kinetic learners, which is the hardest one to teach because that requires movement, requires all these hands-on things, even though they're just as valid, as any other kind of learner, but yet everything is for either auditory or visual is the ones that function well in a classroom setting, and the kinetic ones are the ones that have a hard time. Well, if you're taking that, and that child, again, if they're in first and second grade and hey, they're learning, the reading stuff and this and that, but yet if they have a aptitude for, advanced architecture or whatever else it might be, you can actually see
They're
that.
really good with Lincoln Logs.
Yes. And you can actually see that, and that can be quantified, and literally you have the record, for school, of you can do this and you can do this. And that idea as a society, how much better we would be, because literally, but there again, there's the scary part, because once you have information, how can that be manipulated? But if it's for good, how much better would that be for us as a society of seeing the next whoever, Tesla, Musk, whatever, because you're literally seeing it and you know it. How much better would the Department of Education function rather than it being a big bureaucracy?
Giant money pit.
And yes, and nobody knows who they're even teaching. Nobody knows your name. You know what I mean?
Unlike we all want to be. Sometimes we want to be where everybody knows our name.
Yes.
But no, think about if you did have an educational algorithm, that the intent behind that algorithm, the stated purpose of the algorithm is, I'm a virtual assistant, and the drive behind everything behind my algorithm is unfiltered, figure out the best ways to help you understand every principle I possibly can, from mathematics to science to literature to art to engineering to physics to astrophysics to geology to history. And you need to learn all these subjects. Well, maybe you're really good with your hands when it comes to certain applications, and maybe you're good in a classroom environment in other applications. And the whole purpose of my algorithm is to simply figure out how best to help you learn, and then to teach you everything without limits, without an agenda. Like, that could be an incredibly,
Yes.
and the only gatekeeping it has on it would be, don't pigeonhole the pupil.
Yeah.
Don't go down don't narrow down any path. Continue to try to learn in as many different pathways as possible, and to help the student stretch beyond their current aptitude ability, what their current aptitude is, whether it's really physical. Well, can they translate that into something more theoretical? Can you help them translate that into something more auditory? Maybe they don't get really strong at auditory, but they at least develop in that area. So it's not just giving them an education on subject matter, but also an education centered around improving their learning as a whole in every area where learning is possible.
Yeah.
Mike, that's what that could be an incredible tool for the future.
Yeah.
I mean, that really,
Yeah.
what is the holodeck? The Star Trek holodeck. If you took a student and you said, and you went in as the teacher and said, this student needs to learn this. Figure out how the best way to help them learn and push them, to stretch themselves. You could, the program in Star Trek could that's essentially what it is. And when you have like combat scenarios and everything like that, it's that. We just need to invent the holodeck,
And then
we've got it.
Then at the same time, it's like, so I don't know how that would affect teachers, but just like with TED Talks or whatever else it might be, it's like, well, then you can have a teacher teaching a lesson, and it's just like, well, this is a really good teacher who taught this lesson that's in, say, this network.
Yeah.
Well, then that teacher can teach that lesson to everyone in the network, that regardless of place, location.
Yeah.
So it can follow that entire scenario. The only bad thing about that is, again, the human element, which is how do you keep that with that goal in mind, as opposed to what usually happens in any human-led thing. It becomes corrupt in one way or another. And now we're trying to direct, well, we don't need philosophers, we need factory workers. So we're gonna, so that would be the challenge, even though, again, that's part of the, the utopia never comes to fruition because people aren't built for that. But yet,
if we could get,
that's a great goal to strive for. I think it'd be great.
Have angels come and they write the algorithm and control the implementation for education.
Have the key to it, so you can't mess with it.
If we could figure that, so we need the holodeck controlled by,
Divine
good,
beings.
kind, divine beings. There's our goal. That's the solution to all of our problems.
On that note.
Well, I don't foresee that happening, but it will be interesting. The next few years, it'll be interesting to see where we go.
It's always good, again, not that we live up to the perfection in society as humans, but it's always good to have that goal in mind. So when we are approaching these subjects, I believe that it would be best for us that we think of the best thing that we should strive for and try to, if at all possible within our little sphere, to hold those that are making that accountable to that idea of this should be for the betterment of everyone rather than for enrichment or control of a few.
Yeah. Yep, and that'll always be a challenge.
Yes.
So. Okay. Well, it's been an interesting. I don't know if we solved anything, but it's been an interesting discussion.
Yes. The unscripted meanderings of.
Yes. Unscripted. We didn't go down too many rabbit holes today. We
No,
just
not too bad.
we kind of stayed in that same it was in the same vein as where
Yeah.
we started. So I didn't derail us. I tried a couple times. I threw in some movie references. Well, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
Thanks for going on this little journey down the AI thought process. And for those listening, we appreciate you coming along. Hopefully you enjoyed the ride as much as we enjoy having the discussion. So we will see you next time. Till then, go in good spirits. Thanks for listening to the Creators Guild podcast. Don't forget to get your copy of A Flight from Shadows, available on Amazon. While you're there, please rate it and give it a review. If you like the Creators Guild, please like and subscribe, and make sure to share it with your friends. Until next time, go in good spirits.